Would you like to make crispy, crunchy sourdough at home, just like they make in Paris or San Francisco? Impossible, you say? Well, you must eliminate the impossible. You can make the world's easiest and best can't-fail one-bowl, no-knead sourdough at home. I'll show you using the 1, 2, 3 method. Ready? First, wash your hands. Sourdough starters are living organisms, and you have to be careful with them. Now, the only 3 ingredients you'll need are water, flour, and salt. Oh, and sourdough starter, of course. You can make your own sourdough starter at home, or you can buy one from good baking stores. Each time you take your sourdough starter out of the refrigerator, you will see a thin layer of grayish-brownish liquid. This is normal, and you must stir this back in each time you use it. Ceramic jars seem to be best, and you don't want a tight seal on the lid. I always put a clean plate out to hold a clean spoon and a clean measuring cup. Avoid contaminating your starter with anything, or it may die. Each time you're done with a utensil, put it back on the clean dish only. With a clean measuring cup, put 1 cup of starter in your bowl. Then, time to feed your starter. You must feed your starter every time you use it. Use 3/4 cup of a non-chlorinated water. If your tap water is chlorinated, you must let it sit out in a pitcher for at least 4 to 8 hours before using it, or it may kill the organisms. Next, add almost 1 full cup of flour. You must keep your sourdough starter very thick, somewhere between pancake batter and toothpaste consistency. And don't let the level of starter get too close to the top of the jar, or it will bubble over. When you are done, let it sit on the counter for at least 4 to 8 hours. Now, are you ready for the recipe? Here it comes. 1 cup of water, 2 teaspoons of salt, 3 cups of flour. Use the same non-chlorinated water for the bread mix. We keep a pitcher of water in the fridge at all times for drinking or for baking. Add 2 teaspoons of salt. It doesn't matter if it's iodinated. Next, add 3 cups of flour. Any kind of flour will work fine. Now, just combine all the ingredients until they are completely mixed. There's no kneading, no punching down, no second rises. This is Jim Leahy's method of no-knead bread, made popular by the New York Times and on the internet. I adapted this recipe for sourdough, and in some ways it's actually even simpler than Jim's method. The final dough is a little stickier and wetter than usual bread doughs. Sometimes you flip the dough over a few times to get the dry flour off the bottom, but you don't knead at all. Cover the dough when you're finished. In summertime, you can just let it rise on the counter. If it's a cold day, let it rise in an oven warmed up for 3 minutes. Remember, if you have fruit flies at home, you'll have to put the starter in there too to hide it from them. They are attracted to the ketones and climb in through the lid to get it. As you can see, this is late at night after 10, and I will let the dough rise overnight, at least 8 hours, up to 12 hours if necessary. About 10 hours later, the dough is almost doubled in size and bubbles are seen. Now, heat your oven to 500 degrees for at least 20 minutes. This is the one step you may have to adjust depending on your oven, if you have a breadstone, etc. 475 degrees may work better for you. Now, put a steel, cast iron, or enamel pot into the oven for at least 20 minutes. Don't forget to put the lid in too. They can't have plastic handles. Now, use plenty of flour on your working surface. This may be a good time to mention you should clean all the batter and dough off your utensils and bowls as soon as you're done, or they get hard like concrete. Now, very gently pour out the dough, being careful not to pop any of the bubbles. Now gently fold the dough in from all four sides. This is all the shaping you do. Now open the oven door, then flour your hands and carry the dough over and very carefully drop it into the pot. You can put it in upside down or right side up. Be sure you use a pot holder for the lid. You'll be surprised how many people forget the lid is 500 degrees. Cook it for 20 minutes with the lid on. Then remove the lid. Remember, it's wicked hot. You'll see the bread is pale and yellow at this point. Now cook it for about 20 minutes more with the lid off. You may have to adjust these times, but don't be afraid to leave it in long enough to turn brown and crunchy. Carefully pour it onto a baking rack. You may have to play with the times and temperatures, but the dough works every time. Now here's an easy way to remember the recipe. 1 cup of sourdough starter and 1 cup of water, 2 teaspoons of salt,
and 3 cups of flour. But what do the images mean? What are the hidden secrets? And what does all this have to do with Sherlock Holmes? What is the Sherlock mystery? To find the answers to these and other questions, click on your screen.